Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, I'm Joe Keenan, and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Talks. I am joined here at Shop Talk in Las Vegas by Brian Beitler, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at QVC and HSN. Brian's going to be speaking here at the show a little bit about QVC and HSN's live shopping experiences and the business in general. So thank you for joining me today, Brian.
Appreciate it, Joe. I'm glad to be here and excited to have this conversation with you, and I look forward to it.
So as I mentioned, you're going to be talking about live shopping and live video shopping. I'm going to talk about, as a pioneer in that space at QVC, how are you incorporating these new live shopping tools, live stream shopping tools, I should say, make that clear, to enhance the customer experience?
No, it's a great question, Joe, and it's interesting. So QVC, HSN have been around for more than 30 years, and we're really the innovators in kind of bringing live selling to the marketplace. Before that time, right, everything happened in catalogs or in physical stores, and we've been able to watch how retail and shopping has emerged evolved over the last 3-4 decades. And I think there's a couple of things that I'll say just before we talk about how we're pursuing this and how we continue to innovate just about the shopping experience overall. I think it's interesting if we think back, or I think back to my childhood, one of the best parts of the shopping experience was this notion of being able to walk into a space where you didn't always know what to expect, and you were going to find and you were going to discover something new, and you might be alongside a friend, or you might be there with a shopkeeper, somebody helping to guide you through this journey. And over decades that evolved, and those showed up in the form of store windows in malls, and we started to walk store windows and discover that way. And at the same time, QVC brought that same kind of live and interesting and serendipitous discovery along the journey in our linear broadcast networks. But over the last 15, 20 years, as e-commerce has taken off, what we've seen is a move away from this kind of three-dimensional, social, human, and engaging shopping experience to something that's oftentimes very two-dimensional and very flat. We're scrolling through endless pages of static product images. We're not doing it with our friends anymore. We're isolated and we're sitting at home or sitting somewhere alone. And what we're most excited about is how live shopping, as it comes into the digital ecosystem, transforms shopping back to what we believed it should be: social, human, highly engaged, an ability to be able to interact and communicate and transact with people that you can talk to back and forth. And so, we've always done that on air. We've always brought the customer conversation in through the use of call-ins at times. We've brought the conversation to life by having, both experts about the brands or products that are being launched, and also with the host there as a guide. And now you're seeing that evolution come into the digital space for the first time. You're seeing as social media took off and as big social platforms gained steam in kind of just the natural human conversation, now commerce is entering in. And that for us has helped us to continue to evolve our landscape as well. First, as we moved into e-commerce and that traditional 2D form as everybody else did, as we brought our video experience to that e-commerce space. And then over the last, several years, as we've moved and seen the explosion of streaming, and so live events happening in places other than traditional television, right? We launched into a series of all of those tools and those capabilities, from Hulu to Roku to Comcast, leveraging all the platforms as they bring streaming. And now, right, we're looking at how do we increase the digital engagement even further. And this, just recently we launched QVC live streams on our website that now not only allows us to bring voices both before and after shows, or bring, new micro-influencers to the marketplace, but allows the customer to kind of chat alongside, ask questions, and just accelerate that level of engagement that's always been a part of our linear broadcast. And it's been exciting to watch how much consumers appreciate this new way of kind of engaging and communicating, and also this new way of us being able to bring different personalities and different voices together in the live stream ecosystem. And we think it's not going to be something that's just important for us to do, but you're going to see that. In fact, we've heard a lot of it here at Shop Talk already, the conversation about live stream, how important it is, how many businesses are beginning to experiment in this space, because it does bring just an amazing human element back to the experience.
So I'm going to build off that last point and get your perspective, Brian, on a macro level. You mentioned this, the kind of the adoption of live streaming and the live streaming ecosystem, and it's growing. It's actually been popular in other markets and now kind of getting here to the U.S. Tell us a little bit about why you think live streaming is really getting this consumer adoption, and it's rising, and why people are now kind of taking to this new form of shopping.
I think part of it is that buying's always been something we've done for need. We've always had things to buy. Shopping has always been about the entertainment and the joy of the experience. And I think the reason you're seeing this adoption is that there's now these new platforms and new places are bringing commerce into their spaces. So whether you look at a player like, Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, right, everybody's looking to add the commerce experience. And I think in part because consumers love to shop. They've always loved to go and discover and find something new. And what live selling does different than, kind of hunting and pecking in kind of your e-commerce transaction is it allows you to sit and listen to a voice, someone with expertise, someone you might trust, give you a perspective and give you a point of view on something that's new to you. And it's a new and exciting, I think, way to discover. And so I think that's part of it. Obviously, China, other markets have discovered, and it's grown very fast over there with huge followers, huge, key opinion leaders kind of driving interest as consumers want to hear what they're interested in. They turn to them for discovery. And I think the same way we would scroll through our TikTok feeds or Instagram feeds looking to discover what people are doing, I think we're always just as curious about what people might be buying and how that might be affecting their life. And so it's a natural evolution of kind of the social channels to evolve in this direction. And that's why I think you see so many consumers gravitating to it, because shopping is kind of core to who we are as humans, and finding a more exciting and an engaged way to do it is going to be important as we go forward.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the kind of that social and fun aspect of the shopping that the live streaming can bring. QVC, obviously an industry leader in kind of the linear broadcast shopping experience, now moving into live stream. Talk about your experience, and something that's not often talked about with live streaming is the impact an effective host can have, and how that can really play a factor in getting consumers engaged and then ultimately making purchases. So talk about what makes an effective host in your opinion for a live stream, and then the importance of building that relationship through the host with the customer.
That's a great question, Joe. I think you hear what's so exciting about live stream, what you hear so often is it's just so easy, right? You can all you need is a ring light and a camera and something to share, and you're off and running. And there is some truth to that. I mean, we love and appreciate how low the barrier is to be able to enter and give everybody an opportunity and a platform to be able to sell. But becoming a great host, someone that somebody trusts, is really the key to be successful in this place. And I think there are a couple of things that we know that are important. One is to be effective as a host, to be effective as a seller, you have to be authentic, you have to be true, and you have to be knowledgeable about the thing that you're talking about. It's not enough to go and to read off some script of some features and benefits to be successful in this space. People, they want to watch people and they want to engage with people who they believe can bring them something new, can bring them new perspective, new insights from an authentic place of understanding and belief. So I think, that is one of the core pieces of kind of building trust. I think, the second piece is being willing and able to really listen right to your customer and to the feedback and to the things that they care about, and to be mindful of what they're telling you. The beauty of this space is it does allow customers to tell you when they love something that you're talking about, or when they think you've missed something, and are you collecting that feedback to learn from your experience over and over again as you sell. And two, to learn how to really engage the story behind whatever it is you're talking about. It's not just enough to get up and talk and share a feature and a benefit. As I said, it's really, do you understand the narrative and the story, the way this fits into your life, the way it's going to fit into the audience's life that you're talking to about this business? Do you have kind of an understanding and an imaginative view of the way these products solve problems and help benefit and help us grow as individuals? And I think a lot of sellers and a lot of people who come into the space overlook that view, going, hey, I've got a product, it's got great features. If I just tell you about it or show you a bit how it works, I'll be successful. But there's a romance to helping people understand the story behind the product, and it's important to be able to develop and have a narrative around each item, each product, the category. Why are you in this business? Why are you talking about those categories? And I think the last thing is you said it, shopping is supposed to be fun and entertaining, and the personality should be fun and entertaining. The same thing that works in, followers who build massive social feeds because they do crazy things, because they have these interesting personalities that are fun to watch or interesting to like. Sellers have to do the same thing. You have to be interesting. You have to have a point of view that other people care about. You have to be entertaining. Shopping should be entertaining. We think Livestream brings back the ability to make it more entertaining than it's been in kind of the traditional e-commerce world.
Yeah, creating that connection and getting the engagement from the audience, and that takes somebody that's really a personality, as you said, and then but also has to be knowledgeable of the product and so that's the full package, so to speak. Let's talk about consumers and what you're hearing from your audience, what maybe their expectations are for live streaming, the feedback you're getting. How has it been? Has it been what you've expected? And tell us a little bit about the customer expectation for live streaming events and what you've heard so far.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a couple of things about the live stream. If I compare and contrast it to what we do in our traditional television programming and content, the beauty of live stream is the customer's expectation is that it be more grounded, more authentic, and sometimes a little even less produced, or at least not that it's you don't have a great produced show and that you don't have an idea of what you want to share, but they don't expect the polish and the piece that they might see in a television program. And I think that's exciting for a lot of brands, certainly for us, because it opens the range of the way and the stories that you can tell and how you can show up and the settings that you need to be in. While we think a ring light and a camera may not always be enough to be the journey, you certainly don't need the bright lights and 4 cameras that you might see inside of a traditional production to be able to tell the stories. And we're learning that. And it's interesting, even as we went through the pandemic, there was learning around that as we moved to leveraging Skype and remote capabilities, realizing how much our customer appreciated being able to get into the homes. It actually grounded particularly for some of our guests and some of these great personalities that are on our network, right? To be able to see inside their homes and to hear them tell their stories from their own spaces can create a deeper and a more meaningful connection. And so that's some of the feedback we've received, and some of the things that we've learned as we've gone into live stream is it opens up the door to produce a little bit different kind of content, to let people a little more into the lives behind those who are either the makers of the product, the creators of the products, or even the hosts who are telling the story about the product. And love that new way and that more open way of being able to selling is really connecting and really engaging with a lot of customers.
So from a marketing perspective, CMO, and you and your team, what are you doing as QVC and HSM move into this new engagement channel to create awareness among your audiences that, one, that this exists, and two, getting people to attend and be participants? So what's kind of the strategy been around getting that awareness out there?
Yeah, so for us, it's, one of the benefits that we have having, in the U.S., a network that reaches 100 million homes in the U.S., right? We have this opportunity to be able to use our traditional broadcast to invite people in to engage with our content. In fact, some of our shows, we actually now do these follow-on live stream series where they might have been on the network and they invite you to join them for an after show event where you can get a little more personal with that guest or with that personality on there. We use all of our traditional marketing mediums now. We've started to really explode out the way we've used our own notifications and our own email and push on our apps and those things. So we're just taking the same traditional channels you would use to bring awareness and leveraging those. But we're adding this opportunity to engage with micro-influencers or other brands that have followings, to invite their followings into our brand. We had a successful event, I think I mentioned a little earlier, with Birdie.com and their followership, and leveraging that opportunity to be able to take someone else's audience, give them a platform and a voice through our distribution channels, and also then outreach through their distribution channels around their expertise in, in this case, in the beauty space. And so it's a combination of using the vehicles, and anybody, as you enter this space, you have all these tremendous assets at your disposal that you're using to market and to sell your products. You need to use that same those same assets and those same tools to tell people about these unique places to come and experience your brand. And then again, remember, you have all these influencers and micro creators out there, and it's not just the big guys, small players that can have an impact. They have a following. They can bring you into their space. We love the fact with QVC Livestreams, right? It opens up the reality to do that more. In order to be on our television program, we need brands and we need products that can perform at a certain level and that can be very successful at that kind of scale. Live streaming opens up the range of the type of partners that you can have, and they might be a little smaller in scale, but still be able to begin bringing their micro audiences into your business as well. So there's several ways that we've been kind of using both the traditional medias, our digital platforms, and then also leveraging the opportunity that we have to bring other influencers and their following into this journey with us as we enter kind of this new space of live streaming.
Actually, one quick follow-up, just thinking of it as you were talking, will live streaming, or could it potentially be used as almost a testing ground for some of these smaller brands, and then, does it make sense to then move them on to more of the traditional, full linear TV broadcast?
Yeah, I think, we like the idea that, right, live streaming allows us to help understand kind of what the level of connection engagement is, and plus get that great real-time interaction and feedback from our consumers or consumers who are potentially following someone over who's small onto the platform. And again, it can open the pathway to growth. I mean, one of the things that we're most proud of at QVC and HSN is our ability to take these sometimes undiscovered or very small brands and build them into very large, very successful brands over the course of time. And I think live streaming just provides another on-ramp, another way for us to continue what we've been successful at for decades, and being able to do it through now alternate channels, alternate forms, whether it's live stream on our website or whether it's through new or interesting programming in our streaming content, or and ultimately being able to move to the linear broadcast where it's appropriate. So yes, it's kind of an exciting space because it's now yet another new way to on-ramp, another new innovation in the way that we find and help to discover smaller players that are in this space and may have an audience or could have an audience if they just had a place to come, but they're young enough that we don't know yet for sure, and now we can kind of see that traction.
I'm going to switch gears slightly. I mentioned you're talking here at Shop Talk, and you're going to be talking a little bit about building brand communities. So first, how would you define what brand communities are at QVC and HSN? And then secondarily, why are they important to what you're doing?
Yeah, so it's interesting. For us, the definition of communities is really very simple. It's just any way that we can create a group of similar interests and bring a group of people together who have similar interests. And for us, because again, it's about our brand, about any part of our brand. And that can be one of our guests and one of their brands. It can be one of our hosts. We have a lot of people who engage in our hosts. But it's any place that a group of people can find interest and they want to share and exchange ideas and build association with any part of your brand. And I think that's sometimes lost a little bit as you think you need to have this big, massive following of communities. We like micro communities where people follow, things that they really care about and that they're really focused on. And that's why it's so important to us, right? Is you can find a lot of passions. We all have a lot of passions as people and as humans. We're a very large brand with a lot of great partners, and they have unique perspectives on the world, either through the product they're making or through the personality that they are and the way they approach and see the world. Our hosts certainly have that. They have their own styles, their own way of reflecting in the world. And so it's important to be able to help people have a way to connect with your brand deeper than just what am I buying? It's, what's the other parts of value that you add to my life experience?
And I would imagine, those micro influencers, those diversity of communities you have, with the amount of content that you're required to churn out through all these different channels, that provides you a vast pool to pull from.
Yeah, it does. And I think, it's funny, I was once asked, in a prior lifetime, whether or not I, thinking about a retail store, whether I'd want to have a Facebook page with, 1 million followers, or if I had, 500 stores, would I rather have, 500 Facebook pages, with, a few thousand followers each. And I think there was a time in my evolution and learning about communities as a brand and as a CMO where I would have said, let's build this big, massive community. Over time, my understanding has evolved to realize that's not really what consumers want. They want things that are close and they connect to. And I'm in a place now where I go, I would much rather have these powerful small communities of engagement. And in a brand like ours, where we do have so many hosts and so many personalities, so many guests and so many brands, finding a way to create followings for those because someone is passionate is important. I mean, we have a whole following for David Venable. He does coffee talks in the morning, and he has an in the kitchen, following on social media because there's a group of people that are passionate about the way that he presents and the things that he shares.
And you're selling across so many different product categories. You're not aligned to just one product category or a couple product categories. You're so vast across, your breadth of products. So, finally, we've talked a little bit about how live stream shopping is a great way that you're now engaging customers in this new channel. Can you provide any additional examples of what QVC is doing to build brand communities, maybe in some other channels or other mediums?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple pieces that we've looked at and that we work against. So on our own website we have community blogs where people follow the space. Obviously, leveraging all of the social media platforms and trying to find ways to build organic communities inside there. And some of those are communities that form on their own. There's a whole passionate group about our Christmas in July that love Christmas year round, and so communities get built organically through those social media channels. And then I think as we move down the pathway, we're going to discover new fans in live stream. And as we think about building out our live stream content, I expect we'll see communities that evolve specifically around those streaming communities and those particular either host product categories. To your point, I wish everybody shopped all of our product categories. That's just not the way it works. It would be great if they did, but the reality is that as we look forward and as commerce becomes more live and more live-like in general, we imagine more of these communities being built, not just on the social platforms, but being built around these live streams and trying to build and shape communities around those events as we go forward.
Great. Well, I want to take the opportunity to thank Brian Beitler, the Chief Marketing Officer of QVC and HSN, for joining us here at Shop Talk and telling us a little bit about their efforts in the live streaming space, as well as all of the other digital channels that they're engaging their consumers in. So thank you, Brian.
Appreciate it. It was great to be here with you and appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.